Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. It's Farzeen and welcome back to my channel. So I am back with the second episode of the beginner series. I have the first episode already up on my channel. You can go check it out. I'll leave a link somewhere up here and in the description box below as well. So in the first episode we talked about basic supplies, how you do not need fancy tools to make nice scrapbooks. And in this episode we're going to talk about, or I'm going to show you some basic measurements for the base, and I'm going to show you how you can build up the bases for your scrapbooks. And before we start talking about the measurements and bases and all about scrapbooking, please do not forget to subscribe, hit that like button and leave comments. I really appreciate your comments. And yeah, let's get right into your scrapbooks. You need to build up the base first, and to build up the base you need to figure out the measurements and everything you need to make it work perfectly fine. Here I have some bases ready to show you guys. I have this one. This is a 7x7 and this one is a 6x6. I'm going to show you the difference between the spines, and I'm going to show you the difference between the measurements of these two bases, and then I'll tell you how the measurements actually work, how it's always going to be the same measurements for bigger pieces, and the measurements for the spines are always going to be the same. You're just going to alternate the sizes of your album, and you're going to just alternate it however you prefer. But other than that, the difference between the bases, the inside pages, the spines, and all those measurements are going to be always the same. So I'm going to show you an easy way how you can figure out your measurements. So first let's talk about this 7x7 album. For a 7x7, for a 7x7 album, it's not actually going to be 7x7 on the outside. You can make it 7x7 if you want, but if you're making a 7x7 album, you call it a 7x7 album, the base is always going to be 7.5 by 7.5 inches, and we call it a 7x7 album because the inside pages for a 7.5 by 7.5 album are 7 by 7 inches. So here is the thing. If you want to build up a 7x7 album, you can use your chipboard, cardboard. I'm using some cardboard. You can use your chipboards as well, or whatever you have. So these two pieces are going to be 7.5 by 7.5 inches, and if you are building up 8x8 album, the base is going to be 8.5 by 8.5. So the spine is going to be 8.5 inches tall. But how are you going to figure out how wide you want it to be? We'll talk about that in a second, but before let me show you a 6x6 as well. So here is the 6x6 base. For the 6x6, I have these covers 6.5 by 6.5. These are not 6x6. The inside pages are going to be 6x6 exactly. And this is 6.5 by 6.5, and the spine is 6.5 inches tall as well. But as you can see, this in width, this spine is wider than this one. These are some basic measurements. You can always alternate your measurements however you prefer. So when you're building up the spine, you want to know how much space you want between your pages, the inside pages. So I always like to have a half-inch space between all my pages. So according to half-inch, you are going to measure your spine. So for example, this one is a 2-inch spine for 3 pages, and this spine is narrower. This spine is not as wide as this one, this is 1.5 inch. So why is this 1.5 inch? That's because I want to build a hinge that can hold 2 pages in here. So a 2-inch spine for 3 pages and a 1.5 inch spine for 2 pages. What about 1 page? So you're going to need 1-inch spine, a 1-inch spine to have a 1 page album to build a hinge that can hold 1 page. So I hope that's all making sense. A 2-inch spine for 3 pages with half an inch space in between all the pages, and a 1.5 inch spine for 2 pages with a half-inch space between all the pages. Let me know if I'm making sense in the comments down below, and if you are understanding what I'm trying to say here. So this is how the spines work. Really easy. Building up the base, once you figure out the measurements, is it's really easy and fun to make scrapbooks. So now I'm going to show you how to wrap the bases up. Let me give you another example. So this is 6.5 by 6.5 for a 6-inch album. If you want to build up not a square album, like it's a 5 by 7 album, the base is going to be 5.5 by 7.5, and the inside pages that we are going to talk about and we're going to make in the next episode of the beginner series are going to be 5 by 7. If you want 3 pages inside your album, you need a spine that is 2 inches, and if you want 2 pages inside your album, you're going to need a spine that is 1.5 inch, and for one for 1 page you're going to need a 1-inch spine. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to show you how you can build up the base for your album. In this video, I'm going to show you how you're supposed to wrap up your base, and in the next one we're going to talk about the hinges and the inside pages. Now just take the base pieces of the chipboard or cardboard, whatever you're using, and we're going to put them right here. Make sure these lines do not come in between these right here, or it's not touching this spine piece. Make sure you stay away you keep the spine away from this, or make sure you keep bending lines away from this. And you can use glue, but I use tape, and I've covered my pieces, all three pieces, up with double-sided tape. I like to use tape and glue for this. That makes it more sturdier. Take off the tape. And for the second piece, before we put this here, we need a space in between these two, a little bit, an eighth of an inch, just a tiny bit space to bend it, just so it's easier to bend over. So I like to use this DIY spacer that I made. You can put two pieces of chipboard together, or two pieces of slightly thicker cardboard together to make a spacer. If you have a spacer, that's a lot easier to keep everything balanced, keep the spaces balanced. And just like that, you need that much space in between them. Put it flush against this, and then put one. Now just take the base pieces of the chipboard or cardboard, whatever you're using, and we're going to put them right here. Make sure these lines do not come in between these right here, or it's not touching this spine piece. Make sure you stay away you keep the spine away from this, or make sure you keep bending lines away from this. And you can use glue, but I use tape, and I've covered my pieces, all three pieces, up with double-sided tape. I like to use tape and glue for this. That makes it more sturdier. Take off the tape. And for the second piece, before we put this here, we need a space in between these two, a little bit, an eighth of an inch, just a tiny bit space to bend it, just so it's easier to bend over. So I like to use this DIY spacer that I made. You can put two pieces of chipboard together, or two pieces of slightly thicker cardboard together to make a spacer. If you have a spacer, that's a lot easier to keep everything balanced, keep the spaces balanced. And just like that, you need that much space in between them. sides bent, we need to cut off these corners, but make sure you do not go flush against this while you're cutting it. Leave a little space between. And there you go, there we have the base. So what I like to do, if the corners aren't right, I just bang them like with the ruler. Okay, so here we have the base. This is how you're going to wrap up all the bases, no matter the size, whether it's an 8x8, 7x7, 5x7, 8x6, or whatever size it is. You're going to wrap up everything the same way. And yeah, this is it for today's video. In the next video, we're going to talk about the hinges that we are going to put here and the inside pages. I'm going to show you the measurements, easy ways, and but I hope you liked today's video, the tutorial. If you did, please do not forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. I do take custom orders. If you want to place an order, contact me on my Instagram. All the details will be down in the description box below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.